Hey guys, Baddies USA episode 10 review slash recap. So the episode starts with Suki and Gretch fighting again. I really don't feel like there was a winner, but Sapphire was trying to jump in again. Lex was not going for it. You know, Lex always does say she's anti-jumping. I'm glad she's sticking to it across the board now. So she did stop Sapphire from getting into that. Like I said, y'all know I'm not a fan of Gretch, and I'm definitely on Suki's side with their beef, but I don't feel like it requires jumping. I don't think Sapphire needs to be jumping in this every time they fight. Suki doing splits, telling Gretch she looked like a chicken cutlet. Then she started saying Gretch was a crackhead. Why are we fighting crackheads or cokeheads? And Biggie was shocked. She was like, oh my God, crackheads, cokeheads? But it's like the shit y'all be saying about each other. It seems like it's a lot of y'all that play around with drugs on this show. So Rolly finally decides to say, oh, can we get on with the meeting? Like, girl, do your job. And then gonna say in her confessional, oh, I'm team nobody. And at the end of the day, I feel like right is right and wrong is wrong. And Suki was dead ass wrong. So clearly you are on Gretchen's side. And how do you feel like Suki was dead ass wrong when Gretchen needs to stop saying the N word? Like, I don't understand. Now, maybe she was saying Suki was wrong because Suki had the rings on and they thinking that's what cut Gretchen neck. But whatever. So then Rolly was telling them Natalie don't really want the girls who got booed to perform at the next show. And Summer was like, well, I got booed because I'm a villain. And everybody was looking around like, a villain? Like, look at her face. Because, girl, you clearly meant villain. She need to just stop talking sometimes because she don't even know what the fuck she be talking about. And Rolly was like, Natalie just really felt like it could get worse. You know, we already had them booing, throwing water bottles on stage, and we in Chicago this time, so you don't know how far it's going to go. Dolly piped up and was like, listen, I don't need to perform because the girl that I beat up the worst at the auditions is from Chicago. So Dolly was low-key scared. Like, she was like, yeah, I don't even want to perform in Chicago because everybody knows Chicago is known for shooting. And she probably like, oh, yeah, no, that girl might need that because I told y'all I didn't like Dolly from the auditions because she came in with rings on and was cutting people's face. And I'm like, girl, you doing all that to random people you don't know and you don't got no beef with for a ticket? So who knows how she left the girl face looking? If she left that girl with a permanent scar or something, she do need to be scared because the girl probably would come with her people and they would probably jump Dolly or worse. So Rolly was like, listen, everybody who got booed is not going to be performing. They know who they are. And someone was like, oh, no, I'm performing. I don't care about none of that. I'm performing. And Rolly going to say, well, I suggest you call Natalie then. But remember, she's stressed out at a funeral. So it's like you telling her call Natalie, but then you saying don't call Natalie. It's like, But right here is where shit got weird. And I was confused, honestly. Lex is going to ask, oh, can we get clarification on who the girls who got booed were? And someone was like, girl, you know you got booed. Lex said, no, I didn't. And now it's making me wonder about on the last episode when they like didn't show Lex getting booed, they like altered the audio. But the videos online before did show Lex getting booed and it showed the crowd saying Big Ivory. So I was wondering why did Zeus even edit the audio when Lex was performing in the first place? But I guess this is why. So now she's trying to Mandela affect us and is basically saying she didn't get booed. And Rolly's agreeing with her or saying that Lex didn't get booed as much as the rest of them. So she should still perform. And Summer's not having it. So honestly, when it came to this, even though I am team Lex and Dolly with the Lex and Dolly versus Summer situation for the most part, this was definitely some weird ass shit on Lex's part for trying to act like she didn't get booed and on Rolly's part because you're supposed to be fair across the board. And I honestly feel like you should treat the big three as a group because that's the reason they're getting booed. They're getting booed for the shit that they did together as a group on Africa. So hold them accountable as a group. If anybody should have been allowed to perform out of the 5 girls who got booed, which was Gretch, Summer, Lex, Dolly, and Nunu, I feel like Nunu should have been the one allowed to perform because like I said, I don't really think the fans hate her all that much overall. So I was kind of surprised that she got booed like that in New York. I don't think that would happen to her in every city though, honestly, because Nunu is not a most hated baddie. Gretch, Summer, Lex, Dolly are at this point. You know, after USA, obviously Lex and Dolly have gotten some more fans, but up until this point, those 4 were most hated. I don't think Nunu is in that category. So if anybody's going to get a pass, I would give it to her. So Biggie jumped in and she was basically saying, oh, Summer, you shouldn't be antagonizing Lex. Y'all used to be cool. And Summer was like, I'm not antagonizing her. I'm just being fair and saying what it is. I got booed and she got booed too. And they said Big Ivory. So at this point, Dolly and Lex are both going off on Summer and they basically letting her know we getting tired of you antagonizing us and it's getting to that point where we gonna probably beat you the fuck up. And Summer's like, oh, I would never put my hands on you bitches. I used to be friends with y'all. I broke up with y'all as friends and that's it. Now, while I did say throughout the whole season, yes, I feel like Summer has been antagonizing Lex and Dolly since they broke up as a friend group. You know, inserting herself in beefs that they have with other people, like when Lex was getting into it with Tavia on the bus, and Summer was inserting herself, not even knowing what the fuck she was talking about. So I could see it getting to this point over time, but this being like their breaking point is kind of weird for me. Because Dolly, you already said you don't care about performing in Chicago anyway. You don't want to perform in Chicago because of the girl from the auditions. And Lex, you acting like you didn't get booed in New York when you did. And you're lying. So this being y'all breaking point for Summer inserting herself in y'all stuff is interesting. But overall, I do understand why they're tired of Summer. So Biggie started telling Lex, don't put your hands on Summer because that's what she wants. And Rolly was like, I do feel like you want that, Summer, and I'm not going to save you when it happens. Summer says she don't need nobody to save her, and Suki turned around and told Biggie to mind her business and stay out of Lex, Dolly, and Summer drama. And one thing I hate about Summer, she does this a lot. When somebody's coming at her, she'll bring up a beef that they have with somebody else. Like, to try to basically shift their energy from her to the next person. So while she was going back and forth with Lex, she gonna say, oh, what about you and Tavy? Y'all just had an issue. Like, what they got to do with anything? Lex is addressing you right now. Stop being pussy trying to shift the energy onto fucking Tavy. And then same thing. Like, after this, Dolly was still going off on Summer. Sapphire eventually asked them if they was done. And Summer gonna say, no, we not done. Mariah, I want to fight you. And Anna, I want to fight you next. So you want to fight them, but Lex and Dolly just been popping it at you, telling you they going to beat you up if you keep talking shit for the last 5-10 minutes. Like, I don't know. I really feel like Summer did not want that with Lex or Dolly. She'd rather get it with Anna and Mariah, people who she feel like she could beat. So Mariah gets up. Anna tells Summer, I'm not fighting you today. I got my new shoes on. I look too cute. And Summer was like, okay, whatever, bitch. Whenever you want to fight me, I want to fight you too. Her and Mariah go one round. Honestly, Mariah, you lost. So while all this is going on, Tommie arrives with her cat out, drunk, glass in hand. And when she gets in the house, she basically sees what's going on with the house meeting, and she goes in the kitchen. And Rolly was like, I guess I'm gonna have to go talk to Tommie in the kitchen. Like, she don't really want to engage with the girls. So Cold Killer was immediately popping it at Tommie because Tommie had bought those girls to run up on Cold Killer. So she like, girl, why you not coming in here and addressing your issue? It's a house meeting. You know what time it is, so what you waiting for, basically? So Summer basically decided to go with Rolly to talk to Tommie in the kitchen. And as you can see, Mariah Lynn took the opportunity to sneak Summer. So she hit Summer 1 or 2 good times, and then they were squaring up. They didn't even fight again. So it's like, girl, the only time you really get the one up on Summer is when you sneak her. It's not looking good for you, Mariah. And Biggie starts trying to walk into the kitchen where Tommie is. Sapphire and some of the other girls are basically telling her, like, your friends are right here, you know, talking about Anna, Tasiki, etc. You don't really need to go talk to Tommie and follow up on that situation. She showed you how she felt about you. She showed you she's not your friend. So you should just leave it at that. But Biggie is telling them, oh, I haven't spoke to Tommie at all since that day. She's called me multiple times. She's been reaching out. So Biggie doesn't listen to Sapphire, and she ends up going into the kitchen. So now Biggie, Rolly, Mariah, and Summer are in there with Tommie. Tasiki and Anna also ended up coming into the kitchen. So when they first came in, Tommie greeted everybody. And when it came to Biggie, she was just like, what's up, Big? And obviously that wasn't enough for Biggie. She still felt like they needed to actually address the situation. And like she just said, according to her, Tommie had been reaching out and they hadn't talked. But we soon found out that that was a lie. So I was really team Biggie. I was glad she was standing up for herself. But then when we find out 5 minutes from now that she's lying, it's just like, girl, this is why I can't take you serious. Because you really want to be this bitch friend that bad. And she continues to show you that she don't care about you. Going all the way back to Baddies West. You just don't learn. So the main thing Biggie seems pressed about right now is that Tommie says she wasn't a star. And she's basically like, didn't you see how I rocked that show the other night? Which, like I said, Biggie definitely has been one of the best performers of this season. But it's just like, why you give a fuck what Tommie thinks so much? Like, Tommie really ain't shit. She's not as big of a reality star as Natalie or Jocelyn, no shade. And those are the people who were like her main competition. They both have their own shows. Tommie does not, and there's a reason for that. And her rap career has never gone anywhere. So it's like she's an old ass drunk, like I always said. What are you looking up to her for or caring about what she thinks about you so bad? The only person you really should be worried about is Natalie. If you're going to be worried about what somebody in this baddie franchise thinks of you and you want to be a dick muncher to somebody, it should be Natalie. Honestly, nobody else. So Biggie's like, Tommie, stop trying to front like you some girl's girl. I'm your only friend here and you treat me like shit. You put your hands on me. I guess Tommie had did one of these to her or something. And Biggie wasn't lying when she said, like, she really is Tommie's only friend in the Baddies franchise. Everybody else, honestly, has had their own run-ins with Tommie and thinks she's crazy outside of Summer, but Summer is just meeting Tommie. And Biggie is low-key jealous because it seems like Tommie has kind of replaced her with Summer. And she was like, oh, you had the nerve to say Summer was the littest when you saw how good my performance was. And then you told me I wasn't a star. It's like she has a point. You know, Biggie has a point. But it's just like, you're too old for this shit. Why do you care so much what this bitch thinks about you? Stop being her friend like everybody's telling you to do. And if you're going to smack her because she put her hands on you, go ahead. But after that, I don't want to hear about this shit no more. Biggie tells Tommie, you only cool with people that's convenient for you. Tommie says, oh, well, how convenient is Summer for me then? And Summer gonna say, very, I'll show you. Let me find out Summer trying to eat Tommie cat next. Tommie was telling Biggie she was doing too much for the cameras. You know, it's only a couple of us in this room. We talking amongst ourselves. You don't got to do too much if you want to have a conversation with me. I feel like you being produced. And Biggie was like, no, like last time I seen you, you put your hands on me and you said I wasn't a star. You know, you did what you did to me like that. So I'm on that basically. You fucked up. You're not a good friend and I'm going to address it. Then Biggie was like, you put your hands on me. My girls would never do that. Talking about Tasiki and Anna. And Tommie was like, that's not the first time I heard that. Which basically just means she puts her hands on her friends sometimes and she just expects them to deal with it, which is the problem. So Biggie says, I would never put my hands on you. Can you apologize for putting your hands on me? Tommie says, no, I can't because you're doing too much and I feel like you're doing shit for the cameras, basically. Next thing you know, Biggie ends up getting up and putting her hands on Tommie. She definitely smacked the mess out of Tommie. Big Ant got in the middle of it right away, so they weren't able to get to each other and have a full-on fight. Tommie was like, oh, let me hug her, let me hug her, let me talk to her, because she was trying to get to her. You know, she was trying to get her lick back. And Biggie just kept saying, I love you. And she was telling Summer, like, don't get close to people that you look up to because they're going to turn on you. I love Tommie, and look how she did me, you know. And I'm just like, girl, Summer's laughing at you, so I don't know why you're doing all that. Like, it was just embarrassing. But overall, I am glad that Biggie stood up for herself. There's been plenty of other times where people have put their hands on her and she's done nothing. So the fact that she did do something, I am going to give her that, you know. But I feel like I said, she just needs to stop caring so much what Tommie thinks. So Biggie goes back in there. She's telling everybody what happened. She looks crazy. Her wig is off. Sapphire's like, girl, I told you not to go in there. And Biggie was like, Tavy, I always told you don't fight Tommie because I was really her friend and look how she did me. So Tavy, you know, was telling Biggie to calm down, trying to fix her wig. It was just a mess. So Tommie was talking to Anna Mariah and Tasiki in the kitchen. They was basically telling her, you know, Biggie really fuck with you. You know, she definitely defends you no matter what, even when you're not around, this, that, and the third. And Rolly came back and told Tommie, like, I really feel like you low-key was wrong because that's your friend and she was trying to express herself to you. Tasiki ended up leaving at that point because she said she wanted to go check on Biggie. And Tommie was like, Rolly, the reason I reacted like that was because me and Biggie already had this conversation multiple times. And Anna and Mariah was like, huh? Biggie claims that y'all haven't spoke since the situation and that you've been reaching out to her, but she hasn't responded or spoke to you. So Anna and Mariah read the messages and Anna said in her confessional, Biggie lied because what actually happened was Biggie's been reaching out to Tommie and Tommie's been paying her dust. But she just tried to tell everybody else, oh, Tommie's been reaching out to me and I've been paying her dust. So it's like, oh, hell no, Biggie. From there, Tommie ends up leaving, and she said in her confessional, you know, Biggie's not a part of the gang no more. That bitch tried to put her hands on me. It's up. She looked crazy in her confessional with this braided wig in the front and this blonde ponytail in the back. And like I said, in the scene, her cat is out. Like, girl, what? Rolly had to tell her, hide that kitty cat. Like, you came in here drunk as fuck, like Cold Killer said. Last thing Biggie had to say was that Tommie performances be trash in the clubs. The club don't be rocking, and Biggie still be supporting her. So she don't understand, you know, how Tommie could play with her like that. Rolly comes back in and basically said they're going to wrap up the house meeting and go back to the hotel. So this is when Rolly came with the bullshit talking about out of everybody who got booed, I feel like Lex got booed the least and she should still perform. And someone was like, oh, hell no. And she walked out like, what the fuck? And she asked Dolly like, oh, are you cool with not performing? Rolly asked Dolly that. And Dolly said, yeah, because we know she don't want to perform in Chicago anyway. Like I said, if anybody out of the five should have had a chance to perform tonight, I feel like it should have been Nunu. From there, the girls get back on the bus, and Tavy and Fauna was basically saying it's weird how Tommie be in and out. They was like, you know, she come when she got her girls with her, and she want to engage with us, but when she by herself, she don't want to engage. But that's regular Tommie shit to me. Like I said, I feel like Tommie rather come with a pack of bitches, because then she could feel tough. When she by herself without weapons, she's not that tough. Not saying that she won't fight, but she's not the best fighter. Like, she don't be doing shit with nobody. So Summer was basically feeling some type of way about being told that she wasn't going to perform in Chicago. And she said, I'm going to perform in Chicago and all the other states. Actually, I'm about to call Natalie. So Fauna was like, girl, it's not the right time to do that. Like, Natalie is away from us right now for a reason. She's grieving. She's dealing with funeral stuff with her security guard. She's out of town. Like, why are you calling her with shit? Rolly is left in charge. So if Rolly said you're not performing, you're not performing at the end of the day. Is it right? Is it fair? No. Is it right? Yes. It's not fair because, like I said, Lex being allowed to perform is crazy because the big three should be treated as a group as of now because their actions from Africa is what's causing this when they were still a group. But like I said earlier in the review, Rolly did say that weird shit like, oh, I suggest you call Natalie. But remember, she's grieving and she's at a funeral. And like I said earlier, it's like you low-key told her to call, but then said don't call at the same time. So Natalie gets on the phone and she's like, I do agree with Rolly. The girls who got booed shouldn't perform. And Summer was like, okay, so why is Lex still being allowed to perform when she got booed? Because I could be on the next flight back to Detroit if that's how it's going to be. And while she's talking to Natalie, she ends up basically saying, yeah, so why is this bitch telling me Lex could still perform? Referring to Rolly. Rolly gets up and Rolly goes off on Summer. She's like, who the fuck you talking to? Who you calling this bitch? Why you disrespecting me? Summer did not want that with Rolly per usual, but then she gets on social media popping it, but says she's not coming to the reunion. So when they get off the phone with Natalie, Lex basically tells Summer, you need to stop bringing me up. They said you can't perform. That don't got nothing to do with me. And Summer going to say, no, DJ Scott, play that shit. So she's still planning on performing, clearly. So then we get a bunch of weird conversation scenes, these stage dash conversations they give us. So first we get Fauna and Cold Killer. This one is more natural because they're actually a friend group. So Cold Killer was still talking about Nunu. We not going over that again. Lex, Biggie, Mariah, and Nunu sitting outside. So they was basically talking about the Suki, Sapphire, and Gretchen situation. Mariah was saying, she likes everybody in the situation, but she jumps too, so she can't really judge Suki and Sapphire jumping Gretch. They started talking about the whole situation with Tommie bringing outsiders, and they was all basically saying they felt the way about that because Tommie put everybody in danger, not just whoever she was actually trying to get. Then it cuts back to Cold Killer and Fauna, and Cold Killer asks Fauna, like, did you check on Gretch? That bitch is sliced up. Like, what? But then she gonna say, oh, we should check on her because she fuck with me. And then as far as Summer, everybody was saying they tired of her running her mouth. And Mariah was telling Lex, next time she say something, I'll run it for you. And Lex was like, honestly, I could run it myself, but I just really don't want to do that to her. But it does get to a point. Like, it's getting to the point that I'm feeling like I might put my hands on her, even though that's not what I want to do. Now, this was the most random group of all, and this is what I mean by these staged-ass conversations. So we got Rolly, Summer, Tasiki, and Sapphire outside in the back talking. Summer and Tasiki in a group conversation for what? So Summer told Rolly, I just feel like you're not being fair. If you said that everybody that got booed is not going to be able to perform, then why is Lex performing? And Rolly was like, I get what you're saying. You feel like it's not fair, but I'm going to tell you the next time you stand up on me, it's going to be the last time. It's like, Rolly, I was here for you checking her for saying this bitch, because at the end of the day, Summer do be disrespectful, and people do need to check her. But she's right about you being unfair. You need to hold Summer, Dolly, and Lex to the same standard right now. They all got booed, and it's based on their actions when they were all sticking together. They talked a little bit about Gretchen. Summer was basically saying she checked on her, and Sapphire was like, well, she swung first, so it is what it is. From there, we get to another house meeting, and Tinkerbella was like, Rolly is worse than Natalie. We having another house meeting in less than 24 hours, and we all know house meetings are really house beatings. So immediately, Rolly started trying to talk and say that she had more messages from Natalie to give to the girls. But Dolly was like, no, hold on. Is this a real house meeting or a playhouse meeting? Because if it's a real house meeting and we here to get some shit off our chest, then I got something to say. So Dolly basically says she just been observing Summer for the last couple days or weeks. And, she see how Summer is playing with her and Lex, antagonizing them. And at this point, she's had enough of it. So it's time for her to check Summer because she don't know what's going through Summer's head. And Dolly was telling Summer, when you get to drinking, you be acting stupid. So while you're sober, I'm going to ask you right now, is it an issue or not? Summer said, it's no issue. We're just not friends. And Dolly said, okay, so when it comes to my issues that I have with other people, shut the fuck up respectfully. Stop inserting yourself in issues that have to do with me and other people if you don't want no problems with me. But it was funny because Summer was just sitting there taking it while Dolly is telling her, like, bitch, lead fucking tritely. That's what she said, lead fucking tritely. And then she was like, oh, I mean tread lightly. Y'all know what I mean. Dolly, please. But yeah, like I said, it's funny how Summer just be so easy to want to fight Anna and Mariah. But when it come to Dolly and Lex barking in your face and telling you that they about to fuck you up, you don't got shit to say. It's, oh, I don't got no issue. We're just not friends. So stop popping it because you don't want to fight them. And Dolly basically said, this whole season, me and Lex been cool with you hoeing us. We fell out and you've been playing with us ever since. I'm done playing with you. And Dolly said, and when it comes to that point that me and her fight, nobody better not get in between it. And she turned around to where Mariah, Tasiki, and Biggie and Anna was, and she basically was like, yeah, and I'm talking to everybody in this room. Like, when it came to Tasiki and Krishan, they sister shit, everybody stayed out of it and let them handle it. When it comes to me, Summer, and Lex, we was like sisters. So stay out of it and let us handle our shit. Biggie said she was proud of Dolly for checking Summer. And then Rolly basically let the girls know that they was going out tonight. And then the girls who are actually performing tonight are going to rehearsal first. Rolly told Summer, don't drink too much tonight. And Summer was like, oh, please. And Dolly was like, no, let her get drunk. Get drunk, bitch, so you could do the wrong thing and I could do you in, basically. And Dolly kept saying, yeah, you sober now. And that's the reason I didn't kick you in your shit last night. So I feel like it was something we didn't see that Summer must have done the night before when she was drunk. And that's why Dolly is like so hyped up right now. Then here go Dolly with all her drug talk, talking about I will act like I'm on a beam even if I'm not, and I will skin your ass alive. Then Lex was in her confessional agreeing with Dolly with hot Cheeto dust on her fingers. Okay, we're gonna move on from this scene because it's getting dragged out. But the point of it is basically Lex and Dolly are getting fed up with Summer inserting herself and antagonizing them. Summer is not really saying shit. Now she don't want to fight. Now it's, oh, we used to be friends, but you have been popping it. Suki is telling Dolly, I've been told you that's not your friend. Y'all not friends. Y'all all three not friends. Like, y'all not on the same alignment. Y'all not on the same wavelength. So y'all really not friends. And Rolly is telling Summer she needs to be a little more sentimental, because if you're going to say, oh, I'm not going to fight them because once upon a time we were friends, once upon a time I did have love for them, then you should also be able to have some empathy when you see Lex crying and you see them showing emotion behind the friendship falling off. Next, it cuts to Jayla and Scotty shopping in Milan. This was also a very boring scene. We're going to run through this in about 2 minutes because they spent about 10 minutes on it. If this is what Scotty with the baby is going to be, I won't be watching because honestly, I was bored. Only thing really worth talking about from this scene was Scotty being worried about how her body is going to change. Her body is her brand. She's Scotty with the body. So she doesn't know how having a baby is going to change her body. She also seems a little bit concerned with like losing relevancy because she might not be on Baddies on the show as much as she used to be. And unfortunately, she hasn't developed like a fitness brand or something else for herself that she can really fall back on, which I really feel like she should have done by now. I feel like with her having the Scotty with the body brand, she should have been created like a fitness brand, an athletic wear brand, a wellness brand, something like that she could be making money off of and have a fan base for outside of her being on the show. But unfortunately, I don't think she's really done that. And she also talked about her and Natalie's friendship, dissolving from her being on the show. She basically said she feels like Natalie switched up because she started dating Lemmy. And we all kind of feel that way. Natalie really cut Scotty off and stopped looking at Scotty as a friend, and vice versa when Scotty got with Lemmy, because Scotty basically won the power play. Natalie always had power over Scotty and was able to say no more jets. But once Scotty got with Lemmy, and Lemmy really started messing with Scotty, she didn't need Natalie for the jets no more. She didn't need Natalie to stay on the show. She didn't need Natalie for anything. And that clearly changed the dynamic of their relationship. That's when Scotty stopped allowing Natalie to just put her hands on her and stuff like that. So Natalie couldn't take Scotty coming into her own, basically. Even if we don't agree with the way Scotty got there, because of the whole Janisha and Lemmy situation. She also seemed concerned about her and Lemmy's relationship changing after the baby. Is their relationship going to be boring for him? Is he going to want them around? And I'm just like, girl, you should have known what you got yourself into. Honestly, you should have never viewed Lemmy as anything more than a trick. You got in good at the network. You was getting all the bags, all the purses, all the trips. And you should have just rode that out. Because you started as the side chick and you're now the main chick. And usually it ends the same way, with him getting another side chick, whether that be when you get older, whether that be you have more kids and your body does change, whatever the case may be, it usually ends the same way. So I do feel like this probably won't end well for Scotty. I hope it does because I do like her, but I don't have high hopes for her and Lemmy's relationship, honestly. But do I think she has set herself up possibly for life? Maybe. We'll just have to see. So now we see some of the girls on their way to the club, and Dolly basically said that she's been pouring water in Summer's drinks, still trying to look out for Summer and trying to make Summer stop drinking as much, because that's when she feel like Summer acts a fool. I definitely feel like Dolly is a real one for that. Like, we do see how Summer acts, especially when she drinks. So the fact that she's been treating Dolly and Lex like this for the past few episodes, and Dolly's still been trying to low-key look out for her, shows that she really did fuck with Summer at one point. On the other bus, Summer is basically telling the girl she feel like it's being dragged out. Now they want to fight simply because she don't want to be their friend. And Rolly and Smiley was like, I don't think it's because y'all not friends or because you don't want to be their friends. It's because they feel like you're taking shots. You're antagonizing them. You're inserting yourself in beefs that they have that don't have shit to do with you. You should just stop talking when it comes to them. Tink was low-key agreeing with Summer because she was saying, oh, now Lex and Dolly can't take Summer because they not cool with her. But this is how she been. Like, this is the person she is. She say shit that people might not want to hear. She say whatever's on her mind. Back on the bus with Dolly, Mariah ends up asking Fauna and Cold Killer what's up with them and Nunu. And Cold K was like, I told her to chill on my bitch, talking about K Rican. So Dolly basically said, I don't understand why K Rican is even a topic when she's not here. Now, I don't feel like Dolly should have said this. Maybe somebody else could have said it, but I really don't think anybody should have said it, but definitely not Dolly, because Dolly has never been cool with K-Rican, Cold Killer, and Fauna. She's always had beef with them, pretty much, from last season to this season. She's never been cool with them. She doesn't really know them. She's never taken the time to get to know them. So it's not a situation you should speak on. She also doesn't really know Nunu too well, or Mariah Lynn. So it's something that she should have just probably stayed out of, in my opinion. But did I agree with what she said, low-key? Yes, because I'm tired of hearing about K. Rican when she's not here. When K. Rican comes for her special appearance, she'll handle her situation with Nunu. Until then, Cole, K, and Fauna, find your own storylines, please. And Fauna basically said to Dolly, you know, we respect y'all friendship. We don't speak on y'all friendship, so y'all should do the same. But this changes in a couple of episodes. So then Cold Killer was like, exactly, stay out of our shit. The same way y'all was fighting for each other last season, that's the same reason you getting booed now. Remember all that shit you did last season, throwing shit and all of that? And she was like, that's why you going back to the old Dolly. That's why you don't want to be a villain no more. So Cold Killer was definitely clocking Dolly. And Dolly was like, I'm not canceled because I'm still here. And Cold Killer was like, yeah, you still here, but that's why you chilling though. And Cold Killer was like, they brought you back because the fans was acting like they wanted the villain, but you not even being that no more. From there, the girls are finally arriving to the Kit Kat Club, and they're basically meeting up with Natalie to have a conversation. Natalie's going off. She's mad that the girls have been calling her while she's been, you know, off, out of town, grieving, dealing with her business, with her family or her family friend, her security guard. It definitely was giving me, you know, when Natalie be on her crazy shit. She be funny when she be on her crazy shit, so I was enjoying it. And she basically was like, I want to talk to Summer first. So bring her in by herself. So Summer came in. She told Summer, sit the fuck down right now. Sit in front of me so I could talk to you and so I could see you and so you could look at me. And I was like, ooh, she about to check Summer. So I was kind of here for it. She kind of ate that up. But then the episode ended right there. So we'll talk about what happened in episode 11 in the next review. For Baddies USA episode 10, my most valuable baddie was Dolly. My least valuable baddies were Tommie and Summer. I feel like Lex and Biggie had a chance to be most valuable baddie this episode, but I decided not to make them most valuable baddie because while Biggie did stand up for herself, which I'm proud of her for, she got caught lying about the text messages with Tommie and the fact that she was really still thirsty to be Tommie's friend when she know that girl don't care about her. And then Lex, you know, you was in the same boat as Dolly. You know, I get why y'all sick of Summer, but the reason you not an MVB is because you was sitting there lying knowing damn well you got booed. Okay, y'all, so that's my Baddies USA episode 10 review/recap. I'll see y'all later for episodes 11 and 12. Bye.